The Last of Us, once hailed as one of the greatest games ever made, a story of love, survival, and sacrifice that left a permanent mark on the gaming industry. But in just a few years, its reputation shattered, a sequel that divided the fan base, a live-action adaptation that reignited the debate, and a company that has lost its way. This is the tragic tale of The Last of Us. Before The Last of Us, Naughty Dog was known for fast-paced action platformers, but in the late 2000s, they set out to create something different, a mature story-driven experience unlike anything that they had ever done. Inspired by the real-life cordyceps fungus, The Last of Us would tell the story of Joel and Ellie, two survivors navigating a world ravaged by infection and human cruelty. But what truly set it apart was its emotional depth. When The Last of Us launched in 2013, it was an instant masterpiece. Critics called it a triumph of storytelling. Players were emotionally wrecked by its ending. The game won over 200 awards, becoming one of the greatest games of all time. Sorry, Resident Evil. Riding on high success, Naughty Dog released Left Behind, a DLC that added even more depth to Ellie's story. Then came the remaster for PlayStation 4, selling millions more copies and introducing new players to the world of The Last of Us. But behind the scenes, something was brewing. Naughty Dog was no longer just a studio behind Uncharted and Crash Bandicoot. They were now expected to redefine storytelling in games, and that pressure would shape their most ambitious and controversial project yet. In 2016, Naughty Dog officially announced The Last of Us Part 2. Fans were excited but nervous. How do you make a sequel to a game that already had a perfect ending? Then, disaster struck. In 2020, massive leaks revealed key story details, including the shocking death of Joel at the hands of Abby, a new playable character. The internet exploded. Fans felt betrayed. The game was labeled as a woke propaganda. When the game finally launched, critics called it a masterpiece, but players were divided. Some praised it for its bold storytelling, others hated its structure, calling it disrespectful. The backlash was intense. Thousands of negative reviews flooded Metacritic in the first 24 hours. Neil Druckmann, the creative director, stood by his vision, but Naughty Dog's reputation had already taken a massive hit. The once beloved studio was now seen as arrogant, dismissive of fan feedback, and prioritizing politics over player experience. In 2022, Naughty Dog made another controversial move. They remade The Last of Us for the PlayStation 5, a game that already had a remaster. Fans were outraged, calling it an unnecessary cash grab, and to make matters worse, it costs full price, $70. And at this point, the blows seemed to be rolling in. Then came another, the long-promised Last of Us multiplayer project, once envisioned as a full-fledged standalone game, was quietly cancelled after years of hype. And in 2023, Naughty Dog laid off employees, further fueling concerns that the studio was losing direction. But there was one shiny light: HBO's adaptation of The Last of Us, starring Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. The series was a massive hit, introducing millions of new fans to the story. But even this wasn't without controversy. The show made major changes, sparking debate about whether it improved or diluted source materials. Now, Naughty Dog is working on The Last of Us Part 3. But can they recapture magic, or will history repeat itself? The Last of Us was once an untouchable masterpiece, but today its legacy is completely tarnished by controversy, studio missteps, and a divided fan base. Will Naughty Dog restore faith in the series, or has The Last of Us truly lost its soul? Only time will tell. Want to know how Square Enix lost its way? Click on the next video on the screen, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.